This week on Parenting Paused, let's talk about relaxation. Woo! Often it feels so impossible to relax when there's so many things that need attending to, especially as a parent. If you have more than one kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, it just feels like it's a need fest. And if you ever sit down and really relax and show up in the present with yourself and with your kids, I hear mamas say this all the time. It feels like I'm never going to catch up. Everything's just going to take over. The laundry's going to take over, right? So we have this energy that drives us. And then often we, at the end of the day, go, did I spend any time with my children, right? Did I really show up present with my children? Or was I always pushing and pulling and forcing because I have this drive inside that feels like I've got to keep up? Now, if you're relating to this, and I imagine if you're listening, you might be, it's really, really challenging to actually relax into that moment that you are in, the one that's right in front of you, to relax and meet that moment. And that's what I'm going to recommend that you play with this week, that you slow everything down so you can start to experience what is driving that push. And for me, it was often this little voice inside of my head or some other conditioned idea about my house needed to be cleaned, or something would take over, like I would just die if I didn't do that laundry or if I didn't keep up. And so I started recognizing that I wasn't really living from my authentic nature of meeting what was right in front of me with kindness, with love, with whatever came. I was always pushing ahead. I was always trying to keep up. Now, the funny thing about this, and you might recognize this also, is I began to notice that when I would get one thing done, instead of relaxing and enjoying that and feeling that sense of accomplishment or whatever it was, or when I got my daughter to eat good food, right, and just sitting down in that sense, then it would go to the next thing. Like I didn't have very long where I could relax into what is. So what I noticed was that I was living someone else's life. I was actually parenting someone else's children in a way, the way I parented. I wasn't actually trusting and finding my rhythm, my knowing, my wisdom, and my capacity to experience what was right in front of me. So if you feel this, again, this isn't to beat yourself up. This week, I just want you to notice, does it always feel that if I just relax into this moment and maybe play with my kid in this moment, or if I, just take a walk instead of doing the laundry, what voices do I hear inside, and whose voices are those? Where do those voices come from? Mine was an external voice that said, you need to be neat. You need to be organized. You need to feed your kid good food. You need to do, all these needs, right? But it was like this little voice in my head that wasn't really mine. And so I was constantly trying to impress that voice, I guess, or maybe to get that voice to be quiet or get that voice to be proud of me. Whatever it was, it kept going. And it was this self-absorption voice that kept me from actually experiencing what I wanted to experience more than anything, was being a mom, right? In the present moment, like meeting that moment, like what does this momdom look like in this moment? Not my idea or that voice's idea of who I needed to be and how I needed to be, how I needed to show up to be that good mom. That wasn't why I got into being a mom, or that wasn't why I adopted my daughter. I really wanted to have that deep experience, my experience of motherhood, how I showed up for that experience. And that required letting go of so many of my ideas, my stories, that voice in my head, quieting it and relaxing back to recognize that, oh, I could show up in that moment, meeting what was in front of me, which was my daughter. And everything else, I promise you, it just took care of itself. I still did the laundry. I still cooked the food. I still did all those things. But without that sense of I had to do all of those before I could relax and connect with myself and my daughter. All right, lovies, I hope you have a fabulous week this week. And just check in with yourself and see what's it like if I just relax back. Thank you for listening to this episode of Parenting Paused. If you enjoyed the episode, do me a favor and share it with your mama friends. You can also leave a review wherever you listen, which will support getting the Pure Joy message out. Come on over to the Pure Joy Parenting Practice Facebook page or join me on Instagram to hear more. And don't forget to download your free copy of the Safe Seat course on the Pure Joy website. And while there, check out the offerings page to go deeper in the Pure Joy work.